child, staring at a sky of iron grey while snow falls onto my skin. I am alone, surrounded by rocks, mountains rising to the heavens like towers. I feel lost, alien. I do not belong here, even though I am here. I look into the sky and search for an answer to my existence, but only snow falls in silence. There is no answer, and I have been forgotten. I am a young boy, staring at a ceiling painted in garish colors, velvet clothing covering my skin. Around me, humans mingle, talking in hushed voices, their glances touching me like snowflakes, cold and invasive. I hear them, but I do not listen. I follow the ornaments painted onto stone with my eyes, seeing their flaws where curves and angles are breaking the pattern. They hold no answer to my question, and neither do the men and women around me with their concerns and plots. Surrounded by living, breathing beings, I am still alone. They do not have the answers I crave. I am a man, and around me is war. I wield a weapon and I kill with ease. Blood spatters my skin, and my blows rend flesh and bone. Behind me, an army follows, shouting, struggling to keep up with me. They cannot, but they do not matter. Before me, the enemy falls. They look at me with horror. They curse me, and they die. I am beyond them, as I am beyond those who follow me in battle. I know peace. I feel I am close to the answer to the question of my existence, because battle I know, and weapons are familiar to my hands. But I have no purpose, no reason to fight, and I understand I will not find my answer here either. And so, I lower my sword. The enemy attacks me, but they cannot harm me. Their blows are like snowflakes on my skin, and I am still alone. I am a son. I see my father, and my existence is redeemed. He answers my questions and explains, and I understand. I have purpose and duty, and I was born to fight his wars. He does not need to ask for my help. It is given as it was meant to be. I do not mourn what I leave behind. I can look up to the heavens and see my future beyond them. A sword without purpose is nothing, and a warrior without duty is just a killer. I am more than that. My father has found me, and I am no longer alone. I am a father. My sons carry my purpose to the stars. I am a general, and I fight on countless battlefields. I lead armies and build fortresses. They have no flaws. There is glory to my name, but I do not crave glory. All I want to do is my duty, fulfill my purpose. Surrounded by my sons, I stand under alien skies. We carry this war into the future, for none can fight it like we do. I have brothers, and they say it is usual siblings like us have rivalries and are at cross purposes. We argue, we boast, but we are united in duty. And yet, I am a monster. Blood I have shed before. I have killed, in battle and outside. Not like this. I look to bleeding skies, and the snow once white and grey is red with blood and yellow with grease. Those whose gazes touched me are now buried in the skies. The mountains are no longer stone, but flesh and bone. What I built, I tore down. I see shock on the faces of my sons, and disgust and anger. It is in me too, but there is more. I am lost again. My duty, it led me here. My purpose made me do this, for I am made to kill. And yet, I am supposed to be more, and I am not. A warrior with duty is a killer too. It means nothing, and I have been lying to myself. No war ever meant anything. No war will ever mean anything. I am nothing but a weapon, and I will always be alone. I am a monster. Before me rise the walls of my father's fortress, of my brother's masterpiece. I will tear them down. This is what I was made for. To destroy. To kill. I no longer ask questions. They have no answers. All I feel is blood and the sting of explosions on my skin. Their residue cloaks my armor. I lie to myself again and tell myself I feel satisfaction, gratification. It is not true. I feel nothing. I am like a piece of a complex puzzle finally falling into place. And like this piece, I do not know the pattern and do not care. And this is a lie too. Lies are all I have left. I am nothing. I build fortresses and tear them down again. Around me, smoke rises to heavens of blinding white. Stars were a promise, but they are gone now. I had something, but I tossed it away. I have forgotten what it was. Or maybe I never knew. I am more than I ever was, and beneath my tread millions are crushed. The puzzle of my existence is as unsolved as ever. The pattern shattered, and no destruction will make it whole again. I have been defeated once, but I can be defeated no longer. I can do whatever I want. I can tear the world asunder. But for what purpose? Gratification. It is empty. Iron within. Iron without. A weapon without purpose is useless. And iron unused will only rust. I had a duty once. It filled a void I had not known existed within me. It was a lie. Now there is only hatred to fill that void. Of what I fought for. Of what I fought against. Of what I was and what I have become. I look up to an empty sky and feel it burn. Gods whisper in my ears and war beckons. Lies. Whatever there is around me, whatever I do, it never changes anything. I am lost and alone. Only one lie ever gave me satisfaction. Only one lie stirred my empty heart. Duty. I tossed it away. I should have known better. In a universe of lies, I failed to choose my own truth. Tell me this is why you forced me so cruelly from my sleep. It has been so long since I last dealt out death and judgment upon the foes of mankind. Too long, brother. Tell me war is at hand. Tell me I've been awakened, so that I might wield bolter and blade in the vanguard of our father's blood-red host, as I once did in millennium past. Oh, why can't I move? And why haven't my weapon systems been activated yet? Grog's done. How can I fight in this state? Is there war, brother? Is there a reason why you have... Oh, wait. Wait. Let me think. Wait. I'm starting to remember now. Yes. Forgive me a moment's confusion, venerable master of the forge. I should know better than to order you or your brethren about. I mean no disrespect towards your rank. Just give this weary warrior some time to marshal his thoughts, will you? Yes. I recall now the cause for my previous awakenings, and what bitterness fills my heart. You have not disturbed my sacred slumber due to the necessities of war. Not for me are the hideous shrieks of unclean Xenos as they writhe upon the talons of my power claw. Not for me are the despairing curses of vile traitors as they are crushed and broken beneath my righteous tread. No, not for ancient Archelos is the glory of the slaughter or the catharsis of the kill. I'm far too invaluable to be risked upon the field. I'm now a living relic, doomed to gather dust in a secret stasis vault deep beneath the foundations of the Arx Angelicum, condemned to the dreamless sleep of ages, while the blood angels of Baal take our father's wrath to the stars, forgotten save only by a select few. Ah, why must I persist in this wretched isolation after all those whom I fought and bled alongside have passed on into history and legend? This is no life, brother. No life at all. Yes, yes, oh, spare me that tedious time-worn lecture. I know that I've been afforded the highest possible honor. I know why my continued survival is so vital to the well-being of the chapter. Others have told me this, time and again. But such knowledge does nothing to alleviate my grief or my rage. My younger dreadnought brethren are awoken for war when the need is dire, yet I alone am denied a place in the order of battle. The last time I saw action was when I lost my temper and kicked your predecessor's predecessor across the room for aggravating me. That ought to tell you something. Yes, I'm well aware I am rambling. But why not? It's one of the few things I can... What? Oh. The chapter master himself craves an audience. Truly? Well, you didn't say so before, you pathetic excuse of a... Yes, I know I've been rambling, what of it? You deny me battle. You deny me blood. You deny me a second warrior's death. I would crush you if I could. Gah! Begone! Go! Send in the chapter master. He probably just wants me to advise him on some complex strategy or another. That's all they ever desire of ancient Archelos now. I'm far too important to be allowed to do anything else. Oh, father, this is all so wearisome. I should have died fighting on the walls of the Imperial Palace like all those worthy legionaries of old. This is no life. No true life at all. Emperor, forgive me. I want to go back to sleep. Ah, Chapter Master. You've come at last. No. Stop. You have no reason to kneel before me. You are still my liege, regardless of the great gulf of time that lies between us. It is I who should be kneeling, but I can't move anything. Those thrice damned tech priests refuse to complete my sarcophagus's awakening rites. Forgive me, my lord, but I do not recall your name. So many chapter masters have come and gone since Rauderon's time, and their names have all blurred together in my memory. Perhaps if you removed that golden death mask obscuring your face, I might be able to...
Nobody gets in or out.
That's better. I remember you now. Yes, you are Lord Commander Dante. You first came to me not long after your inauguration, as is tradition, when the secret of my existence was revealed to you. I see the passing years have been kind to you, brother. You look tired, if I may say so. Well, I suppose you've come all the way down here for a bit of sound tactical advice from an old veteran, eh? Either some monumental campaign is at hand, or else a catastrophic disaster has befallen the chapter, and you desire my opinion on the matter. So be it. What troubles you, Lord Dante? Even in death I still serve. How might ancient Archelos aid you? A story? You want me to tell you a story? A story about Sanguinius when he walked amongst his sons in the flesh as I once did. I was not expecting such a request. Your predecessors never asked me for accounts of the 30th millennium, and I always assumed it was because their hearts could not bear the burden of such tales, or that my recollections would only serve to intensify their grief and further inflame their rage. Yet, I will indulge you, Lord Dante, for I sense the weight of our father's legacy lies heavily upon your shoulders, and in your face I can detect an echo of his spirit and nobility. You are strong-willed enough, I deem, to be entrusted with a first-hand account of Sanguinius, though I must choose what to tell you with care. For the inescapable horror of his death has far eclipsed the deeds of his life, and those deeds were many and glorious. I know. I will speak of an earlier time during the Great Crusade, far removed from the black spectre of heresy and betrayal that still torments us even to this day. A time when the Emperor himself led the legions across the stars, and the sons of his Primarchs numbered in their hundreds of thousands. And a time when the Blood Angels went by far less noble and exalted name. I remember it all clearly, for I was there, Lord Dante. Over 10,000 Terran years ago upon Tagar Pentorus. Yes. I was there, the day the angel descended.
Tagar Pentorus, fifth planet of the Tagar system. A world of perpetual storms and tempestuous weather. And a home to countless petty kingdoms and enclaves of degenerate abhumans and their hordes of bestial warrior thralls. Every inhabitable planet and moon of that entire system was utterly infested with the loathsome abominations, and such was the extent of the purge required to cleanse those worlds of their filth, that the full might of an Astartes legion had been brought to bear in order to drown all of Tagar in their unworthy blood. To say that my brethren and I were eagerly anticipating this full-scale campaign of extermination would be a crippling understatement. We were all but howling for its commencement by the time the strike cruisers carrying the last straggling companies finally translated in system. It had taken 2 years and 4 solar months for each disparate and isolated band of the 9th Legion to be located and recalled from various distant war zones all across the galaxy. Many frontline combatants had been ordered, often with threats of severe reprimand, to withdraw from active battle engagements, forcing these legionaries to leave their mission objectives unfulfilled and their campaigns uncompleted. The bulk of my own company, the 87th Charnel Reapers, had been in the middle of butchering its way through the human and cybernetic defenders of a star fort, under the control of an arrogant planetary despot who was actively obstructing all attempts made by his governors and ambassadors to peaceably integrate his world into the Imperial fold, when the order to withdraw and regroup had come through. Now, many months later, the dried blood and viscera of those same defenders still soiled our armor as a form of protest. The rancid stench filling the interior of our juddering Stormbird as it ferried us down through the turbulence of the storm-racked Tagar Pentorus. Captain Kyron Kassir, the commanding officer of the 87th at that time, was in a foul mood. As one of his senior sergeants, it had been my fortune to accompany him to the surface of Tagar, as part of an honor guard of veteran Astartes he had personally chosen from amongst the upper ranks of the Reapers. Possessed of volatile humors and a keen appetite for bloodshed, Kassir had endured the agonizing months of inaction as the Legion slowly mustered, with a steadily rising choler. Venting his frustrations in the dueling cages and training halls had done little to alleviate his slaughterlust. Now he paced along the length of the Stormbird's expansive deployment bay like a caged phoenix, unhelmed, heedless of the craft's violent shudders and tilts, while the rest of us sat secured in our grav couches, checking and rechecking our weapons as intermittent strobes of lightning lit up the armor-glass viewing slits.
This gathering is an utter waste of time, brothers. Ishidar Asuras has gone too far.
Cass's voice was a raw, rasping snarl of cold rage as he stalked restlessly back and forth, the Xenos claws and spent bolt casings entwined in his tangled mane of ash-blonde hair rattling against his chestplate as the Stormbird continued to vibrate and shake around us. Seated across from me, Lieutenant Vakaras, Cassir's second-in-command, also helmless, frowned, causing the livid scar bisecting his narrow vulpine face to further mar his pale features. Ishidar Asuros is Legion Master, Captain, as he has been since the unification of Terra. If it is his will that the commanders of the Immortal Ninth meet as one on the eve of the Tagar campaign, then he is fully justified in giving the order. Our Legion has not assembled at full strength since the earliest days of the Great Crusade. Our insular companies have spent too much time apart. This is an opportunity for us to reforge the bonds of our factitious brotherhood and prosecute a war that will be remembered in the annals of the Imperium for centuries to come. Kassir snorted dismissively, his bionic right eye glowing a sinister red in the dimly lit space.
There is nothing Ishidar Asuros needs to brief us on, and certainly no lofty speeches concerning unity or camaraderie, which cannot be broadcast to the entire fleet assembly via Pixcast. We should be assaulting Tagar's primary abhuman stronghold, not engaging in pointless palaver with brother legionaries who doubtlessly feel the same as we do. Besides, true brotherhood can only be forged in the crucible of battle. And this is no...
Oh, stop grousing like an old man with indigestion and be honest, Kyron.
I growled, having quickly grown weary of his endless grievances.
You just want to kill. You desire nothing more than to slake your bloodthirst and raise up another mountain of corpses to the eternal glory of the Ninth. Well, brother, so do the rest of us. And so does Ishidar Asuros. The Legion Master would not subject his captains to a muster such as this without just cause. This gathering is not a waste of time. If it truly was, it wouldn't be happening.
Vakaras nodded in agreement as Kassir rounded on me with a snarl, his fangs bared. We had engaged one another in a brutal bare-knuckled sparring session just an hour prior to planetfall, and my muscles still ached from the savage blows he had inflicted upon me. I was glad I had kept my helmet on so he couldn't see the smile twisting my own scarred features. Though he was my superior by dint of rank, I treated him as the whetstone upon which I perpetually honed my own skills. We were both natives of the man-made moons of Neptune, and had been inducted into the Legion at the same time during the Solar Reclamation. Yet, despite our common heritage and the begrudging respect we'd managed to cultivate over decades of warfare, we still fought and baited each other like the two neophytes with something to prove.
Remind me again, Sergeant Archelos, why I chose you to join my honor guard.
Cassir looked as if he wanted nothing more than to split my skull. I smiled again and shrugged my massive pauldrons. A human gesture I picked up from the serfs, which signified not knowing the answer to a question.
Maybe it's because I'm the only legionary in the 87th with the balls to tell you to shut up when you start questioning orders and speaking ill of your superiors, Captain Cassir.
There was a tense silence. Then Cassir's glare morphed into a vicious grin. A grin that informed me the next time he and I sparred, we would both be stripped of our armor and wielding screaming chain blades. Perhaps he was about to reprimand me. I'll never know. For at that moment, the pilot made his existence known over the ship's internal vox speakers.
Captain, we have cleared the storm and will be landing at the designated coordinates in 3 minutes and 26 seconds.
The Stormbird ceased shuddering as it broke through the cloud cover and leveled out. Cassir strode impatiently towards the rear deployment hatch, calling for a final weapons check. A glimmer of amusement flickered in Vakaras's icy blue eyes. Behind my visor, I licked my lips as I willed my rigid body to relax and my death grip on my chain axe to loosen. I yearned for battle with the same intensity as Cassir, and knowing no foes awaited us on the ground only caused my thwarted bloodlust to seethe in my veins with increased venom. Why had Ishida Asuros ordered the captains to assemble on the surface, when a fleet-wide broadcast or a hololithic conclave could have served the same purpose? I did not want to listen to some motivational speech as if I was a common Imperial Army foot soldier. I was a space marine of the 9th Legion. I wanted to rip and to tear. I wanted to kill. I was a beast with the face of an angel, a blood drinker, an eater of the dead. My brethren and I warred across the most benighted battlefields of the Great Crusade. A legion of gore-stained revenants that would not relent or retreat until we had utterly destroyed everything that stood against us. Whereas Primarchs such as Rogel Dawn and Gilliman strove to build up an empire in accordance with the Emperor's grand vision, we left only corpse-choked charnel worlds in our wake. We were specters, haunting the wild regions at the Crusade's advance. A terror, loosed by the Emperor to cut a path across the stars. Our hearts possessed of an inescapable darkness that was driving us ever closer to the abyss of madness. There was no light, no hope, only an unremitting existence of carnage and death that could only end with our own destruction. Yet I never lamented or cursed my lot. Mine was an uncelebrated and thankless duty, but I performed it gladly, caring nothing for the future consequences. For as long as blood needed to be spilled, I was contented. Tagar Pentorus, 5th planet of the Tagar system. A world of perpetual storms and tempestuous weather. And upon an open, muddy expanse of her rain-lashed hide, we assembled. The grim captains of the immortal 9th and their chosen warriors gathering together as one, heeding the summons of our Legion Master. No humans were present, for this was Astartes' business, and we were eager to see it done. Upon Tagar we mustered, The blood-drenched angelic butchers of the Great Crusade, eagerly awaiting the system-wide slaughter we were about to partake in. Hundreds of crimson-clad legionaries, most with fresh blood ritualistically daubed upon their faces and armor, formed up before Ishidor Asoros' personal Stormhawk interceptor. Claws of lightning tore across the dark, roiling clouds above, though the torrential rainfall had abated for the moment. Thunder boomed like distant artillery. The Legion Master stood apart from his retinue, a striking figure of legend and regal barbarism, in his skull-bedecked artificer warplate. Unified at last, we waited beneath our wind-whipped banners, our insatiable blood hunger simmering just beneath the facade of our coldly serene features. Lightning flashed. Thunder rumbled. Ishidor Asoros remained silent and still. He gave no order. He said nothing. I swiftly came to realize that he too was waiting. Waiting for what? The assembly was complete. Each company captain was present and accounted for. Every able-bodied space marine of the 9th Legion was prepared for deployment. What else had to happen before? And that was when I heard it. The distinct engine growls of more Stormbirds descending from orbit. Yet even as the sounds reached my ears, the hairs along the back of my neck stood on end, and I gritted my teeth as a sudden knot of apprehension twisted my stomachs. My secondary heart kicked in as my breathing grew shallow and rapid. Sweat beaded upon my brow and my muscles bunched and tensed beneath my armor. I did not understand what was happening, for I had not experienced such a deluge of conflicting emotions since my transformation into a space marine. I tore off my helmet and took a great gulp of rain-damp air. Catching the scent of Astarte's blood, I turned and saw Cassir had bitten clean through his lower lip in his agitation. Our distress only intensified as the Stormbirds drew closer to our position.
Those aren't our ships!
A legionary somewhere behind me cried, and a second later, I saw that the approaching craft were liveried in bone white and bore the emblem of the 16th Legion. These transports belonged to the Lunar Wolves. The legionaries of Horus Lupercal himself were disrupting our assembly.
I was not briefed concerning this.
Cassir snarled in outrage, his anger quickly rising to the fore. A few captains began shouting questions at the Legion Master, demanding an explanation for the unannounced arrival of our uninvited cousins, even as the Stormbirds began their final approach. Ishidor Asoros and his lieutenants marched from the shadow of the interceptor, which then lifted off, ceding the landing ground to the Lunar Wolves' ships. Wordlessly, the Legion Master re-marshaled his warriors in front of the legionaries comprising the first rank, and together we watched as the Stormbirds set down one after another in perfect synchronized succession. Their assault ramps slammed down, and in under a minute a troop of 16th Legion Astartes stood arrayed before us, their faces obscured behind their crested helms, their polished bolt guns held in readiness across their chests, their alabaster power armor brightly lit by the sporadic flashes of lightning. The final Stormbird to land was festooned with storm-tattered Chthonian war pennants, and it seemed to my eyes that the entire vessel was enveloped in a nimbus of ethereal light. My whole body was trembling in anticipation by this point, and my jaws were clenched so tight my molars were in danger of cracking.
Is it Horus?
Lieutenant Vacaras whispered, and there was a tremor in his voice, akin to fear.
Has Horus Lupercal come?
The final ramp slammed down in a spray of mud. Two full squads of elite Justarian and Cataphracti pattern Terminator armor deployed in unison before separating and forming a processional walkway between their hulking bodies as they turned and faced one another. Cassir scoffed, for we were not men easily impressed by displays of pomp and ceremony, or by the strength of arms. Still, Ishidar Asuros gave no order. My eyes were drawn to the top of the ramp and the gold-lit interior beyond. A lone figure now stood, silhouetted against the light where none had stood a second before. And by his stature, I knew him to be one of the Emperor's sons. The breath caught in the back of my throat. My twin hearts stuttered within my chest. Veiled in a luminous solar radiance, the figure slowly descended from the bone-white stormbird. An expectant hush fell over all. When he reached the foot of the ramp, the Justaeran honor guards saluted him as one. He passed between them without a word, and strode across the narrow stretch of muddy earth that separated our forces from his. None of us moved or spoke. I was gripped by an indescribable dread such as a mortal man might experience, for I had never been in the presence of a Primarch. Even the raging storms that ruled Tagar were momentarily cowed. I waited. My brethren waited. The planet itself waited. Waited to see what this living demigod of war would do. The golden aura cloaking the figure steadily dimmed, as if receding back into the burning core of his being. Time seemed to stand still. It was not Horus who stood before us. My heart stopped beating. Great white wings unfurled as the Primarch Sanguinius revealed himself in all his martial glory, and we beheld for the first time the beauty of his sublime form and the terrible majesty of his resplendent countenance. The light shone in the darkness. My heart beat again, and nothing would ever be the same, for dawn had come. The sun had risen. The Archangel of Baal gazed upon the assembled commanders of the Revenant Legion, gazed upon a host of rough-cast killers and scarred blood drinkers that had been created in his image and likeness, gazed into the depths of the hunger and madness lurking within the black recesses